Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to a new video from Ultimate Fishing International. My name is Sietze and today we're going to do something really fun. We're going to do something that is also very popular almost all over Europe and actually all over the world. We're going after squid and cuttlefish. We're going to highlight to you the range from the brand Yamashita. In Japan, Yamashita is one of the market leaders in the game of squid fishing. We're going to do our best to explain to you all the tactics, all the techniques, and especially with Yamashita, the difference between all the models, how to pick the colors, what colors are important. There's a lot of technologies embedded in these squid jigs, in the eggies, and we're going to take the time to explain to you how and when to pick those technologies to your best advantage. Come on with us on the bank and hopefully we can show you some nice squid and cuttlefish very soon. Yes, there we go. Short little tap, but apparently there was something on there. Nice little squid. All right, we've been fishing for just a little bit. A very nice spot. Fishing the eggy okay. We've tried some other ones, but this is the one that delivered a beautiful squid. Had a short little bite, didn't really stuck, but after a few short taps, quite often it happens when you miss a few, don't just jerk it like crazy. Give it a few taps on the spot, and this lovely little squid took the jig. Very nice action. One of my first squids on the new rod as well, super nice action. Fish is very good. Let's put it back for now, it's a lucky squid. Alright, we got the first squid of the day and it's time to talk a little bit about how to fish them. There's two questions we get asked the most. Is first of all, which one to pick, because the range is very vast. And the second one is how to fish them. The way on how to fish the squid jig, there is a lot of misconceptions floating about, especially in Europe. And there is apparently a technique that's called bishi-bashi. The funny thing is, even we in France and at Ultimate Fishing, we thought this was a thing. We got introduced to the guys from Yamashita. We started to ask them a thing or two about bishi-bashi, and apparently it's a term that's only used in Europe, and it has something to do with the sound the line makes when it hits the rod. But it doesn't really exist. No one will get angry when you use it, but it's not the right term. So there's two ways in particular to fish them. One is the short jerk and one is the shakuri method. I'm going to demonstrate both of them now. Obviously, even though we're not fishing for a fish, as with anything in fishing, we have to start with a cast and let it sink all the way down to the bottom. It's quite deep here, it will take some time. For demonstration's sake, I won't let it go down all the way to the bottom. We'll start with the short jerk. That's the most easy one. As the name suggests, it is a series of short jerks. This will cause the squid jig, the eggy, to go from left to right, almost like a jerk bait or a Vision 110, something like that. And this makes it cover quite a bit of water quite fast and give it a very aggressive flanking motion. So it is a bit of a strange feeling in the beginning when you start doing this. You have to reel with your left hand, you have to jerk with your right hand. It's a bit of a tricky thing, but the short jerk, it's just a series of short jerks. Let the line go tight and let the eggy sink back down to the bottom. That's the period also when you will get the bite 99% of the time. So again, let it go down, and at the same time, while retrieving or while keeping tension on the line, So if you don't do anything, you will be jerking all the way to the back, and that's very hard to properly animate your lure. The second technique, so the first one, the short jerk, will give you the left to right like a jerkbait. The second technique, the shakuri, is a lot more vertical and a lot wider movements of the rod. This will cause the eggie to jump up and down, so it's a vertical motion, and it's almost a vertical walk the dog is the way we explain it the most, similar to a pachinko, when you want to stay in one zone, and especially for the cuttlefish as well, it's a very effective technique to fish for them. So that's the two main techniques. Either you want to cover a lot of water, sometimes the squid or the cuttlefish respond to one thing better on the given day. So we got the short jerk, and the shakuri. You'll probably, despite the swell and the wind, the mic will pick up the sound of the drag every now and then. The drag is very loose. It has two specific reasons. So every time I jerk, you can hear it. It's not only to prevent unhooking the very fragile tentacles of the squid or cuttlefish, but by doing it this way, it gives a little bit of give in the system, which causes the eggie to jump out even better, or when it's shakuri on the vertical way. And the motion, the range of motion is just much, much better when doing this. So keep your drag very, very loose. All right, we have been fishing, or I better say squidding almost, for a couple hours. And we've decided to head back to the little studio here in France real quick to walk you through the Yamashita lineup. In particular because we have received a lot of questions from both the fishermen and the shops, because the lineup is very fast. There is many different models, there's many different colors and sizes. And so what is what? And I can understand it's quite difficult to begin with. In the basis, to keep it easy, especially for the shore fishermen, there's 4 models to have a look at. Number 1, we're not gonna talk about too much. It's the Aggie OF. That's the basic one. It is the most affordable one and is targeted in particular towards beginners, holiday makers, or people who just want to catch 1 or 2 squids. It does not benefit of any of the technologies that Yamashita is famous for, but it does catch the squid if you just want to go fishing, and a little bit more affordable on snaggy spots or when you go with your kids. After the F, there is basically 3 core models in the range, and the 3 most important ones, and we'll go through them in order of how you use them on the water. Number 1, and not only number 1 in the list, but also the first one on the rod, is the Aggie O Surge. The Surge benefits from not only a rattle, but also flat size. It sinks a little bit quicker, and it's used to search not the fish, but the squid or the cuttlefish. You will get a quicker reaction of them. You'll see the little sound wave on here. It's quite easy to find them back in your box. And those are the first ones. Same as with actual fish, sometimes the rattle or the very aggressive motion can put them off. So if there is a lot of fishermen there, or if you already had a couple squid and you notice that the bites have stopped coming, it does not mean the squid have moved on or the spot is bad, but it can simply put them off. Then the Aggie O Live comes into play. This is the core of the range. This is the most popular one, and this is mainly because of the movement underwater is the best. So it moves the most beautiful. It's basically the most effective one if the situation allows to use it. Sometimes it does not. It is windy, it is a lot of current, it's a very bumpy conditions, and that's when the Aggie O K comes into play. The Aggie O K has a little fin on the back, little stabilizing fin, and in the sinker in the front there's some holes as well. And this one fishes a lot better when it's bumpy or rough. So basically we'll head into color selection and the technologies behind them in a second. But you start your fishing session with the Surge. If you had a couple on them or if you found them, you go to the Live. And afterwards, if the conditions dictate, it's the K that's the next on your line. One more thing about the Aggie O K, it is not only the most stable one in the rough conditions, but also the way it sits, it sinks in the water. If you have a spot where either you already caught a lot of squid or there is a lot of fishermen, like for example down in Weymouth, very popular squid spot, this will outfish most of the other ones, even the ones in the Yamashita range, because it just sinks much more stable, and that's the moment when they take it. So it's also a little bit of a high pressure situation where you would pick one of these when the squids and the cuttlefish are absolutely hammered by any other eggy or squid jig on the market. All right, so now we've explained what model is suited for which situation or which fisherman. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the technologies inside and on the color of the squid jigs, the eggy. Yamashita in Japan is one of the biggest companies in squid fishing, and not only in their headquarters, they have a test tank with live squid to see how they respond, but they also do a lot of research and development together with the universities. They also invest heavily in habitat. They put Christmas trees in the water for the squid to grow. It's a really nice way of giving back to nature and community. For example, the Surge, the one we've talked about, it has a rattle, but it doesn't have just any rattle. They figured out that there's a certain frequency that the squid respond much better to than just your average plain rattle, because it kind of imitates the beaks of the squid feeding. So it sounds like a feeding frenzy. And it's like, hey, I need to be there. Something's happening. A second technique, and one that is not always understood, is probably the most popular and most famous technology, and the reason why Yamashita is so big, and that is called the worm jacket. A lot of people describe some of the squid jigs as just the worm jacket, but the worm jacket is a technology of a ceramic coating in the mesh of the squid jig, and this captures infrared light, and it creates a temperature slightly higher than the ambient temperature. The squid, they can sense this, and for example, underwater, the worm jacket will be 0.5 to 1 degree warmer than the surrounding temperature, similar to a bait fish that's fleeing. Even though fish are cold-blooded, if they move, if they exercise, same as we, they get warmer, and it's much easier for the squid to find. They've done loads of tests with this technology, and in the end, based on the actual attacks, the followers, and the squid approaching, there's a 225% increase in caught squid with the worm jacket technology. It works on infrared light that's in the sunshine. Obviously, this does not work at night, but during the day, it is a very important technique. And we get the question quite a bit, why don't they put it on everything? But they do. Even in the next video, we're going to talk about squid fishing on the boat. Even the lead ones, the Ica metals, they have the worm jacket. The only exception, but that is reflected in the more affordable price, is the Egio F, which does not benefit of any of these technologies. So the worm jacket you'll find on the Surge, on the Live, on the K, on the Armors, even on the ones for the Ica metal, for the leader. That's a different topic. So you can always be assured that you're fishing the most effective eggy. Now you know about the models, you know about the technology, and then we're gonna talk about color selection. Squid jigs, if you are a tackle tart like me, they are beautiful, they are very funny with the little feathers and the silly hooks, and they exist in millions of colors. A very big question, a very justified question a lot is how, why, and when. Funnily enough, how they look to us doesn't even matter. The color of the mesh that's covering the plastic body is mainly to follow the lure in the water to see how it reacts. The most important thing is the base color. There's several categories of base covers, so underneath the mesh. Every one of them has a certain application in a certain situation. It is quite a bit of information. We're going to try to be as clear as possible. We even skipped only to the most important parts. As with some of the things discussed earlier, squid can sometimes be very easy to catch, but this is the thing that will make the difference between 3 or 30, or on very busy spots like here in Brittany, like in Weymouth, Brighton, where everyone's fishing for squid. The squid see millions of jigs at the same time. This is where it will make the difference between catching a few or catching a lot. So it's all about being as efficient as possible. Technique number 1 we're going to talk about is the glow. The glow is the 490 glow. The 490 is the wavelength of the light. Like I just mentioned, this is a wavelength that the squid really respond to the best. Very important to notice, we're going to talk about fluorescence in a bit as well. There's a big difference between fluorescence and glow. Fluorescence only works when there's UV, when there's light shining onto it. In this case, our eyes cannot see UV. The eyes of many fish and the squid as well, they see UV, and it will change the appearance. We need the light to see these colors. This only works when there's light. So glow is just a technique for when you're fishing at night, with the exception of very murky water or very deep water where there is no penetration of sunlight. Mainly a night or deep watercolor. For the fluorescence, you need the sunlight, like I just said. So that's number one, is the glow base, which you pick in deep water, murky water, or at night. The next category is the holographic ones. The holographic ones, there's multiple colors. There is completely holographic, so almost clear. There is gold, pink, orange, and purple. Which one you pick depends on the ambient light and a little bit on the watercolor, but especially on the ambient light. So we're talking sunrise, middle of the day when the sun is at its brightest, and in the evening when the colors change. So the pink and orange ones are mainly used for in the morning and in the evening when the sky is completely pink and orange and it reflects much better. Watercolor plays also a little bit of a part, but that's the selection in the morning. So when you start your day, if you're early in the morning going out, or late in the evening. In the middle of the day, depending on the watercolor, the holographic one, the completely, almost completely clear one in clear water, or the gold version in murky water is the best option, as it corresponds the best to the light penetration in the water. The light kind of acts like a filter. If you like your night fishing, like many people do, especially when there is a bit of moon or ambient light, when you don't per se need the glow, the purple one, quite similar to bass fishing or some lure fishing, some night fishermen, they really like purple and black colors. In this case, the purple is one of the more effective ones, especially in very clear water. At night, in murky water, I would just exclusively fish with the glow. If it's spots that are quite heavily fished, play a little bit between glow and purple, especially in clear water, as if they've seen a million, like this, the water is filled with fireflies, it might put them off of the glow because they can be quite tricky. Last but not least, there is one very good color or base, which is called the Kimura. Kimura is an abbreviation of several Japanese things that I won't bother you with too much. It's a UV violet type of thing. And that is one of the best colors. It's also one of the better colors at the moment. The water here is very clear and bright sunshine, and it works the best in very clear water with bright skies. So you can alternate between the holographic base and the Kimura base. After this, there is one more category. So we just had the glow, we had the metallic ones, and then we have the famous neon bright ones. And the neon bright consists of three different colors: a red, a blue, and a green. So here you can have, there's some unpainted ones, these are the Surge. And you can see under the UV light, they completely glow. Especially the older viewers, they might remember the light bright toy kits from back in the day. I'm not old enough for that, but I do know about them. Yeah. Some of the older viewers might recognize these as quite similar to the light bright toys from back in the day. There's three colors, as you can see. How and when would you pick some of these? This all depends on ambient light and in particular the watercolor. So we need a little bit of help to see this because we are not squid or fish. This is a red UV filter, a red color filter, and it takes the place of the water during sunrise or sunset. If we shine the UV light on them, just you've seen they all are the same color. Through the filter, there is quite a bit of difference. This is the blue one. This is the green one. It's very hard to see, but the red one is very easy to see and is the only one that lights up completely. This goes for all colors. So the red neon bright is the one you would pick in the morning and in the evening. If the water is a very greenish, like an algae bloom, or further up north in Normandy, further in the English Channel, basically, where the water is a bit greenish, you will notice that that's the blue one, that's the red one, and the green one is by far the most visible one. So in those conditions with loads of algae or a bit greenish tint to the water, the green neon bright is the way to go. Last but not least, bright blue skies, bright blue sunshine. When you've tried the holo, you've tried the Kimura, and sometimes you need to try something else. The green one, the red one, and the blue one. As you can see, the blue one is much more visible under these conditions, and for the squid, it is something that is much more visible and much easier to find. Although I fully appreciate that squid fishing is something quite specific, although many of you love it. When I first learned about this, in my bass fishing, my sea bass fishing, I think a lot about colors and perception. Do not forget that not only squid can see UV light. If you got this far into the video as a fisherman who does not fish for squid, the same principles, the same theory applies to your selection of your bass lures. And in certain situations when I had trouble catching them or figuring out what the color of the day was, this delivered a lot more fish than the other people around me. So the same principle applies even for trout, very sensitive to UV light. Perch, the difference is not so big. As Zender as well, they are very sensitive to this, and it's something to keep in mind. So now you know how to pick the model, how to pick the technology when you go for the glow, and then how to pick the base colors given the conditions on the day. So those are the techniques, technologies and colors behind the brand Yamashita. This is also the guideline on how to and when to pick the colors. You've learned about the different models, the F, the K, the Surge and the Live. You learned about the warm jacket, you learned about the glow, the rattle, and you've learned about how to pick your base color and especially your color type between Kimura, metallic and the neon bright versions. We're gonna head back out on the water now, see if we can put it into practice and hopefully catch some nice squid. See you soon. Alright, although it has calmed down a little bit, the conditions haven't really been in our favors, and that makes fishing one of the squid jigs, even the Aggie OK, the most stable one, a little bit more difficult. Quite often you'll see people who put a big lead weight or just a classical sinker in front of the squid jig. Unfortunately, as we talked about, the squid jig is not just the shape, but it has a lot of action like any other lure out on the market to catch actual fish. If you put a sinker in front of it on the snap or whatever, you take away all of the action and you greatly diminish your chances of getting as much squid as possible. The guys at Yamashita luckily have invented something for that. This is the TR sinker. It is a metal helmet and it fits perfectly over the head of your squid jig. There's a little elastic band. You put it over the sinker already on there. Make sure the feathers aren't stuck. And now my Aggie all of a sudden is 15 grams more heavy. They have them from the very small weights to very big weights, even from the boat. This is the tip run. It's basically a technique that's normally done from the boat. We're going to talk about it a lot in the next video. But with this tip run sinker, the heavier one, it is, especially from the shore, you can cast much further. There's a lot of current, especially with the Aggie OK. It's the most stable one, so it's the least influenced by the TR sinker. It is a perfect way to go as far and as deep as you need. Only thing to keep in mind, there's a special snap, because with the normal snaps, it's a bit more difficult to get it through the eye. So with the TR snap, you put it on, close the snap, and even in the most tough and rough conditions, the deepest water, the fastest current, you can still properly fish your squid jigs depending on the conditions. There's multiple colors as well, even a glow in the dark one. You mix and match a little bit on the given conditions together with the body of your squid jigs. And it's a really efficient way to weighten them without losing all the action of your squid jig. All right, the sun is setting down. The best time of the day is coming now. We've already had some squid. We talked to you in extent about the Yamashita technologies, the models, how to pick the colors, when to pick the colors. It is time to talk about hardware a little bit. The hardware is fairly simple. In particular, there's two rods we've been using today, depending on the conditions. These are both the new Tenryu Ikegami rods. They are specifically made for the European squid market. Especially the medium heavy for the deeper water we're fishing in, either from the piers in the UK, the cliffs in Brittany like we're on now. When you're using one of the TR sinkers from Yamashita, it casts super far, it is very powerful to still give action. When you don't need the sinkers, the medium is by far my favorite. It's a lovely light rod and it's very easy to fish the squid jigs with. The reels, contrary to most bass fishing, it is a 2500, even a 2000 is more than enough. And the lines we're using are specialized squid lines. They have a coating that's hydrophobic, and especially when doing the shakuri and the short jerk, this will shed the water. This makes it a lot easier to stay in touch because the bites sometimes can be very, very subtle, and it also helps with keeping in contact with your lure. They sink very slow, so they sink about 3 seconds per meter depending on the model. And they sink in this position. When they're slowly going down, the squid is taking them, so everything needs to be very sensitive. This shows in the diameter as well, depending on the bottom, the rod, and if we're using the sinkers or not. We're fishing 0.6 to 0.8 PE, which is very thin, attached to either a 10 or a 12 pounds, so 0.30 liter. Basically, that's all you need. The only thing on the snaps, the snap is very important because the squid jigs, they sink like this. If they hit the bottom and you tie them directly, you break off a lot after a few casts or when you're starting your short jerking or your shakuri. The normal Yamashita snaps fit perfect on the standard jigs. If you're using the TR ones, the TR helmets, you have to use the TR snap because it has a longer lag and it fits better through the metal cask, the helmet, when you're using them. Basically, that's it. This part is quite simple in comparison to the color selection. Hopefully we also cleared that part up for you. Better one. Calamar. Nice squid. That's actually a very good one. It's always a bit dangerous, trying not to get yourself a face full of ink. Yes. Alright, our day is done. We've had some lovely squid, a nice cuttlefish, but the main objective obviously was to explain you guys all about squid fishing, to take you down into the world of Yamashita and their amazing squid jigs. Today was from the shore. Very soon we'll also have one from the boat explaining about tip run and Ika metal. Obviously it has been a little bit of a long one and especially a very technical one, but with a brand like Yamashita and with all the technologies they put in their squid jigs, we had no other option. I really enjoyed myself. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you learned a thing or two about squid fishing and the brand Yamashita. In the near future we'll also come with some videos talking about squid fishing from the boat with the TR method, the tip run and also the Ika metal. Once again, I hope you enjoyed watching. We're going home. See you soon on the water.